Okay, so we have looked through the Google Slides and we have seen what monochromatic colors are about and what movement might look like when you're not doing real movement. So if you can see this, I have started creating an artwork using this concept, movement and monochromatic colors. And I have selected monochromatic colors not only because Missouri thinks you should know them, but also because I feel like it enhances this artwork really well. Here I have drawn two lines, and you're going to see that in two spots. They start to separate, but then in the center here, they come together. These are going to intentionally stay wavy lines to apply that concept of movement across the paper, but I am going to continue to have some of the lines come close together and some farther apart, potentially return back to the direction that they came from, and some other unique little things that could occur when you're drawing lines in motion. So what I like to refer to the two lines coming together as is that they are dating or they're friends. When they stay nice and parallel the whole time, they're probably really good friends. When they get closer, they're dating, and when they are spread out, they're breaking up. So then if I were to continue that concept and I have two come together, but then I do that reverse concept that I said, and I'm going this way. I change directions. Now, what could that be referred to? This person has decided to become an independent person. They don't need no person to be dating. They are happy being single. That's how I perceive these. I think it helps when I try to come up with my design if I have concepts like that. So then there's this big negative space in here. Negative is whatever area we haven't used. So all of these lines that I've drawn are positive space. And I want to play off the negative space a bit more. So if I make a little shape on the inside, still generally using the concept of a line, but then I end up doing a shape. What I'm doing now is giving the eye visual contrast, and what we recall from previous videos is that contrast creates a nice focal point. Well, I happen to draw this somewhat centered. Not too centered though, so maybe I will repeat a few of those similar shapes elsewhere. So maybe I have this teardrop, raindrop look over here, and I'm going to curl it in, and I can keep going. So now I want to continue to do lines that look like they're spreading out, coming together, staying parallel to each other. I have people dating, I have people not dating, I have people becoming independent, figuring themselves out, they're staying single. And I'm going to use the original line before it to guide some of the motion. So as you can see, these two lines have a similar path, but here, rather than going back with this one, I'm going to go up. So these two are really good friends, and then they're like, nah, this isn't working. We need to stop being friends. They're going to find healthier friendships. So I would keep doing that. I think I want to go wide up here, simply to balance out the wideness over here. I think this is more visually appealing. Now, my intention with this artwork is simply to have something that draws the eye across the whole paper. This is going to be a very unified piece of art. Additionally, I think what will happen is it'll just have a way to appreciate it due to the fact that it's kind of like water, and water is very calming and peaceful, and oftentimes people do like that. So what I am thinking about when I'm making, we'll go really tight on this one. What I'm thinking about when I'm making this is, what do I feel gives me a peace, gives me a calm, or what do I personally enjoy? But as we know, you can come up with your own preferences. So maybe you like it a little more sporadic, more movement that seems extreme. So what might that look like? Well, if I were to do a few here, maybe the lines are really tight together, and rather than it being a curvy line, it's more jagged. Now, I'm not going to incorporate jagged lines in this because I like the piece that's happening, but I will go head off this one and make it wide. And since I did that there, maybe I should do it a few other spots. So let's do one here. Maybe I continue this one through there. I just want to be consistent, so I don't want to do it in one spot. So let's do one around this. And as you can continue to see, some of the lines stay together and then they spread apart. So there's a gap happening here, which then means I have to problem solve this area. I think it would be nice if I had another little loop, well, another curve around both things. It's much like oil moving around and or ripples in water from raindrops as they actually drop onto a surface or into a puddle. And I'm going to continue. Maybe I'll add another little hook around here. And I have this huge gap still. Since I had one there, it originally looked pretty nice, but now I'm not feeling it so much, so I can always make a change. I can add one here. I'm going to have these lines spread out, make it tight again here. These two are dating now, and now they're broken up again. They don't want to be near each other. And then I will do maybe a hook off of there and a reference to one of these teardrops one more time. Now, since I have that one really tight and I don't have it anywhere else, I feel like that doesn't really quite work anymore. Again, you're thinking of visuals that you appreciate. So what I'm going to do is make some changes to this shape. And when I draw nice and light, when I erase, it doesn't really impact the artwork. It doesn't change it to be focusing on my mistakes. I can move on without seeing my mistakes. That's why we need to draw lightly. So I'm going to make this one smaller. Maybe I'll see the end now. Tight here, loose there, and let's just move this entirely. As you can see, sometimes you have to plan as you go. Usually I'm a planner before I start drawing. But when you're doing movement like this, I feel like you don't really have answers until you just start making it. So that feels more natural. At this point, I would then use Sharpie if I prefer. I'd start deciding, do I want my teardrop shapes to look as though they have emphasis in them, meaning maybe they are colored very differently than the monochromatic look. Maybe I do patterns in them. There could be a lot of things. So I'm going to show you examples and then show you another drawing. So one of the things you can learn about coloring is that we want to color in one direction when you're starting out. So I'm outlining with my Sharpie and then I'm going to fill in. Now when I say one direction, notice that I'm actually kind of going with the shape of the teardrop, but I'm going to stay this way as I go through. I normally turn my paper. Notice that I'm making sure I don't go too close to the edges. I want to slowly work my way there. Now I could curl around, or I could just continue with the little angled parentheses, and then I'd straighten out, and then continue curving around the other direction. We don't want the direction that you color to be emphasized. We want only the shapes to be emphasized and the lines to be emphasized, so you need to be thinking about how you color. We don't want to go opposite directions, changing directions, and we don't want to leave any open areas, and that's called balding. Okay, so I've pulled out some watercolors. This is the Crazy Art brand that was provided, and the brush, and I have a little cup for water and a paper towel. And I'm going to mix some colors to make a purple because we were not given a purple in this. So what I'm doing is taking some red from over here, stirring a bunch, and trying to add in a spot here. I'm going to get some color in my brush. If you clean it out, then it won't ruin your other colors. So now add water to the blue after I clean out my brush. I'm going to mix them. As you can see, it's kind of a dull gray purple, and that is what we have available. That's just how it's going to mix. So we're going to accept it and continue on. And you just decide the ratio of purple and, or excuse me, of red to purple, red to blue that you prefer. Once you like it, then you can use it. Now you can see I would need to make a lot. What my intention is to get a little bit and wash it over one of the colors to enhance it with a new look. I could add a little bit more red to this, as initially I added some pink colored pencil. So it could be a dull mauve color. It has a slight pink tone to it. Like that. But then it'll take care of some of these lines that we drew in here that you can still see. We won't see them any longer. I'm going to go ahead and see if I can get a real purple too for those who do have a purple. Alright, so I'm going to show you another version of monochromatic move that you can do. The previous one was more abstract. This one will be still abstract, but now we have an identifier to something more personal. In this case, I have written my name. I have tried to generally have them be the same size, in the same location, meaning they don't go up or down. They stay centered. They are spaced out generally the same. I can see a few things that I would change if I had more time. Remember, this is a demo for you. I would have shifted them over slightly because this side's slightly bigger than this one. And I am making a bit of a change to this one. I want it to end in the same spot. So I need to make it a little bit higher up, and I need to fix this. So if I were doing this for real, I would spend a bit more time on fixing these things before I started. Because firstly, I'm drawing in one line, which we know we don't do. Like, this shape does not quite work. But I should be doing in short lines, light, go slow. I'm kind of rushing, and I would be turning my paper to help me make these shapes better. But demo, it's a bit faster. All right, so now we have something that's more personal. So you could be thinking of a shape here instead, but letters are best. So if you wanted to make this artwork for somebody, you potentially could. I want you to remember that we're going to use monochromatic colors to create this. And then if you want to use emphasis with a different color, or contrast, if you want to make contrast with a different color here and there is a possibility. So then I would, fix this one too. So now what are you doing with this? Well, we're going to make lines go around it, and we're going to repeat this shape. So even though I'm going fast, I'm going to try to still be careful. And when they run into each other, we're going to just stop them. So they're going to be like squished up against each other. Like right here, this has got squished, so I'm going to go around. And what I might then do is the same kind of thing with a few details here and there. Like, again, still not great shape, still rushed it, did one line. We do short lines, erase, fix, go slow, that kind of thing. So maybe I just want to put a little shape here and there that I feel like represents me. Maybe I make it more of a curvy heart. Again, do not rush. This is not how you make art. I'm just trying to demo for you. So you're going to keep going around. When they run into each other, you stop. And then you're going to repeat this. So there's a little piece there. But this time, as you move through, or with each added ring, then you're going to have it connect. So this very next one, now I'm going around it and it's all pieced together. But what I'm doing is I'm making my lines generally the same width. See, I got a little wide here. These are a little rough. I will then keep going around and it's all connected. But this is kind of thing right here is what you're trying to avoid. What you should be feeling when you do this, instead of feeling OCD about it, you should be feeling peace. You should be feeling calm. It should be somewhat relaxing in its repetitive nature. And what we know about that is when you're making something and you have repetition, your brain appreciates the consistency and it gives you some control over your life in a small way. And who doesn't appreciate a little bit of peace of mind? And who doesn't appreciate a mental break once in a while? It's a form of mindfulness. Each time you do a curve, think about how this allows for you to escape the world for a little bit. You come up with the answers, but they're also kind of explained for you. So like see right here, I got stuck. I have these shapes and I have nowhere to go, but then this one is nice and smooth. So I'm just going to draw the smooth side now and come back out. I'm about to run into the heart. I'm going to keep going and going. Now, at this point, I'm going to start widening. I'm going to make these lines get farther apart. And the reason why I'm going to do that is because when we're doing monochromatic colors, it's going to be a lot of coloring. And if I give myself less rings to do, it makes the edges a bit more bold. All the focus is on the center and these details. By making my lines come out farther, what I'm going to have, I should start going around here. That will change the dynamic of this one. So I'm going to change my mind on that. I'm going to go and squish it and then come back out. By making my lines get wider, see here I am, this was really close together, wider, now wider again. Where the boring negative space was at, now I've created interest without actually trying to create interest. Now I will go around my heart, but I'm trying to make it wide, gotta remember that. And I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna go off the paper because you wouldn't see the edges there, you would see an edge here. And I'll do just one more. Some of these spots you're really not going to see. I wouldn't see right there. I might see that corner. I probably should clean this up a little bit more. And just like with the other one, I'm going to do a Sharpie outline. I would not see that corner. I want to do a Sharpie outline because I think it just gives it a bit better emphasis. So now you're going to watch me speed through that. I'm going to erase all my pencil marks and then I'm going to color them. So some people like coloring with a darker outline on the outside. So what I'm going to do is show you how you could continue to do that throughout your artwork, and then generally what direction to go in the inside. So what you're seeing is me color at an angle that I feel comfortable coloring at, and I'm doing it at a lighter tone. So I'm going to continue to do this throughout, in which I'm going to fill it all in. And when I was doing my outline, I actually turned to my paper. But as you can see, I don't actually have to turn my paper to do this. So I would just continue all the way, not leaving white spots really, which is what we call balding. And I will finish, excuse my cord, going in one direction, this way. You're going to see me go ahead and do that to the others now as well. Okay, I have one more video for you, and this is going to kind of correlate with your sketchbook assignment about a realistic portrait. And you're going to see this 3 times. This one, another project, and your sketchbook assignment. And that's just because I think faces are really difficult. So I'm giving you options. So I drew a face using the sketchbook assignment regarding realistic faces. It explains how to do it. You follow along with it, and it's all on pencil, as you can see. And what I'm going to do is just start going with Sharpie. Now, what I mean by going with Sharpie is I'm going to draw this person as we see them based off how I drew, and then I'm going to intentionally add movement inside of the face, which is going to look really freaky probably to you, and to the outside. I will then later come back to create color emphasis here and there, and still try to like accomplish unity, so it's still interesting throughout the whole thing. But I'm going to add color later, and I'm just trying to think very carefully about where I go. That's obviously how you would need to be with Sharpie, so that's why it's taking me a little bit to like get out my words. So I am creating the rest of the face at this point. I'm going to continue and then start the background. Now I'm going to go back into the face and erase the pencil. It was just my guide. I drew light enough that now when I erase, you can't actually see my original workings. Anything in pencil is now gone. So it looks like I always had this idea in Sharpie. I'm going to use my black colored pencil now to get really intense on this face, so be prepared. What we're going to do is take the concept of movement through line, implied movement through line, and I'm going to continue adding lines, much like the outside, into the inside of the face, whereas the outside is geometric. Now we're going to go in with curvy lines, organic lines, lines that are not pokey, they are malleable, they rotate, much like any wavy or curvy line would. So here we go. Notice that the circles end up where all of the main points are on a face that either flat or poke out. So I'm going to now bring all these together through another time-lapse video for you. So I finished adding the movement throughout the face. As you saw, we pinpointed spots on our face to make it's almost as though it's tribal, or it has the markings that you might see on a tree. But we went throughout the face and then we connected them, and then the lines follow the path of the shape of the hair for that section. So now you can see I have 3 colored pencils, and I'm going to do almost like a tie-dye effect. Notice that I have yellow. Yellow is just going to be an accent. I'm mainly going to stay here. Eventually I'll add black, and what I'm going to try to do is create a transition from dark shades to a typical hue of green, the hint of vibrant yellow, and then it's going to go into white. So it's almost monochromatic, because I'll have tints and shades, and it's going to be based off a concept of green. So I'll save that for a time lapse. I'm going to finish with adding some color into the eyes, just a little bit. I don't want the color to be the main thing, but I think by doing a little bit of color where the outside is so chaotic and interesting, if I add a little bit more onto the inside of the eyes, that might create a little more interest, and maybe a hint on the lips. I don't want to get too crazy though. I could, go elsewhere too. I do think I want to make these faces, make the lines on the faces more intense. So I am going to go ahead and go back over. As you can see, I'm not staying on very well. Again, demos. With my demos, they don't always do exactly the expectations that we have. So like craftsmanship expectations or drawing expectations, you're going to see me not use as well. So I should be going slower, turning my paper, making sure I stay on the lines. So when I get done with this, I'll take a picture.